Welcome to the Serving with Faith podcast, a show exploring Christian leadership principles in today's military. Now, here is your host, Michael Cuddy.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Serving with Faith podcast. I'm your host, Mike, and I'm joined here again by my lovely wife, Stephanie, as we continue our series, Raising Military Kids, and understanding the unique challenges that come with that from a Christian military perspective. And today we're going to talk about goodbyes and transitions and how tough that is in the military. And for us, it's really two things. It's PCSs and deployments. Those are the big transitions that we deal with in the military. So how do we deal with those from a Christian military perspective? And how do we rely on God to get through those things? And that's what we'll talk about today. And the first thing I want to talk about is understanding that, even when transitions happen and everything else changes, the one thing that doesn't change is God. God is constant. He is always here. He is always with us. And that is the foundation that we use with our kids to understand how to deal with this. And I like to read from Hebrews 13:8 that says, Jesus Christ is the same yesterday and today and forever. And that is our validation that, he's always there. He's never going to change, right? And we can always rely on him. And so, when it comes to PCSs, we're dealing with that right now. We're having to make big decisions on where we go next. And, the kids have big feelings about that.
As they get older, their feelings grow with the transition.
They're voicing those opinions. And so it's a tough time. And we've done this nine times now, 10 times, something like that. So, got a lot of experience at it. But yeah, PCSs, the big thing up front, I think, on that is really communicating to your kids that it's going to happen and being blunt, but being blunt in a gentle way, right? You don't want to, not communicate to them and wait till the last minute. So,
or kind of brush it off like, oh, well, this is just what we have to deal with, right? We have to come emotionally prepared to let them know, like, hey, we understand this is uncomfortable. It's not ideal. It, will make you sad, sometimes happy.
Yeah.
But it is just something that we chose in life. This is the life we chose, and we're going to make the best of it. Yeah. And God chose us as a family to live this life, to help guide other people or to just show people that we can be strong through this. It's not a bad thing. And God always paves the way. He already has our path drawn out for us. And so, it's just on us to be obedient and to follow that and to make sure that we use our moving around to spread his word.
Yeah.
So, we are the missionaries in that field, so to speak, and we tell the kids that. And so I think that they've really picked up on that mindset.
Yeah. God calls us to do all sorts of things in this life. For me, I feel like it's being in the military for, these past 15 years and hopefully no more than 20 years. But
we'll see.
It's one way to explain to your kids that it doesn't matter what God's called you to do. Transitions are part of life and they're hard and they're tough. And the one way to deal with that is to go back to God and rely on God, seeking him out earnestly and diligently, looking for that peace and comfort and, those tough times and knowing, and we got to leave. I got to leave all my friends. I've got to leave, all the things that I like to do here, all the routines that I've established that I'm comfortable with, the new things I've learned that I like to do. I got to leave all that behind and move yet again. And it's really tough. And so how do you help your kids navigate that? And what I've definitely learned over the last, 5, 6, 7 years as I recalibrate my faith is, going back to the word is the way you do that. And so, one thing that I've shared with my kids is Psalm 34:18 that says, the Lord is near to the brokenhearted and saves the crushed in spirit. And, I've used that to talk to Bryson and say, how do you feel right now? You feel crushed in spirit, don't you? He's like, yeah. And I said, and what is the word telling you? The word is telling you that the Lord is near. He's near to you. You're brokenhearted. You're crushed in spirit. He's near to you. It's on you to draw near to him, right? And rely on him for that peace and comfort that he'll give to you. And I think over the years, I've been able to witness and see the kids progress in a manner that shows that they're learning that. And that brings me peace and comfort too as a parent, knowing that we can handle anything. Another big transition, God's got us. That's all good.
I think coming at them and verbally verbalizing that to them is huge, because while they want to freak out, mom and dad are cool as a cucumber,
Yeah.
right? Because we know that God already has it chosen for us.
Yeah.
We just have to wait, or we just have to look for the signs of why.
Yeah.
And so I think that helps our kids' attitudes a little more, is seeing that they're modeling that to them, and going back to the word and going back to prayer and involving them in that. So it's not just us saying it, they're doing it with us.
Yeah. And, it's really important as a military leader that you're communicating, all the aspects of the, uncertainty of what that's going to bring. And, that might be tough for your kids to hear sometimes, and might not want to hear it. You know, Bryson's having some emotional feelings right now about the decision we have to make. Is it stay here or is it move and go somewhere else? And, there's a whole bunch of things that have to be considered in those decisions that we're going to make as a family. But the big thing is, as I think as a Christian military leader, is, what is best for your family, right? And, I know what's best for my career, but that doesn't always line up with what's best for my family. And I will always choose my family over my career, 100%. I am that leader, and I know there's leaders out there that are not like that, and that's okay. But this is what's important to me. So choosing your family and understanding what do they want, where do they want to go, is hugely important. So you got to be a little humble, in terms of being able to accept that, hey, maybe I don't go do this job that I've been wanting to do for a long time because it's really better for my family to be here instead of elsewhere. But all that stems from prayer. It's all rooted in prayer. The foundation is prayer, going to God. We don't know what the right answer is right now.
No.
I would love to say that I do know, and we've got until September to figure this out. But I'm not worried. I'm praying, and I know, God will lead us to the right decision, and I have, faith that that's going to happen. So, I'm not worried at all about it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's, I mean, obviously big decisions and all of that, but like you say, we're going to be okay. Right. And while we do involve the kids in every possible transition, we let them know, like, mom and dad still have the responsibility of making the decision that's best for the family.
Yep.
Because, of course, they always want to stay where they are because that's where their current friends are and that's what they know in that moment. Um, but if we stay complacent in anything in life, we don't know the greatness that could be ahead for us.
Yeah.
And so we have to make sure that we, tell the kids that, like, you may not be able to understand it now, but you will later. Or you will find that later, or you will be able to get this feeling back in another place and maybe even greater.
Yeah.
So being open about that, letting them give their opinion, but, knowing that ultimately we have to do what God has led us to do. And I think you have been great at letting them know that you're going to do what's best for the family, but you don't just say it, you do it. Because we talk out loud, like, dad had the opportunity to do this,
Yeah.
but it wouldn't have been good for our family. And I don't think God had chose it because of X, Y, and Z. Right. And then we go to the place that's best for the family. And so you've modeled that, but you've also, took a stand and, like, I mean it when I say it. And I'm not the best at decision making. Anybody who knows me knows that. I try to find the positive in everything, but, so when he does say, here's the list, what looks good to you? I'm like, oh my goodness, all of it. I don't know. But no, the PCS transition is difficult because there's a lot of emotions. There's the things you're leaving of what you know, and then, excitement of what's to come, but you just don't really know what that is yet.
Yeah.
But there are some things that we do with our kids that help our kids, that we would like to share is, establishing communication with their friends if we move. So allowing them to exchange phone numbers if that's age appropriate, messenger, the parents exchange phone numbers. Of course, we're going to know their address because, we've lived near them. Or if it's a friend that doesn't live in the same neighborhood, exchange address. We can write letters, and we always do those things.
Yeah.
But I think it's important to establish that communication with your kids' current friends for them to have someone to talk to when we do leave, right? They don't know friends in the new area yet. So they're like, who do I talk to? How am I going to make friends? All of these things, but they still have their old friends from the place we left to kind of anchor them until we get to that new place. And if it is military kids that they become friends with, then they understand. They already know what our kids are going through. And so they have that sense of connection. We talk about the new place that we're going to. We kind of research some fun things to do or things our kids would be interested in. And we kind of write them on a little list, and we promise to do those when we get to that new place. And of course, following through with that when we get there helps for them to understand the excitement through it all. But we make sure that we practice what we preach, I guess is a good way to put it, right? All these things that you promise them and you tell them it's going to be great. Well, you got to do them or else they're not going to trust you in the future to, promise those things.
It's all about helping them understand the totality of what that transition is. It's not just a negative thing. I got to say goodbye and move. It's, I got to do that, but I remain connected to my friends even when I'm away, and or when I transition. And I understand that there are new things to do and new experiences to be had, and all these things I get to experience in life and see now in the location I've never been before. It really helps them really accept it. I think is come to accept the fact that the transitions are going to happen and it's going to be okay. But it's all about reassuring and helping validate their emotions and their feelings, and saying, what you're feeling is okay. It's all right. It's okay to be sad. It's okay to cry. It's okay to be mad. It's okay to be angry at dad. That's fine. Be angry at dad if you want to be. That's okay. I will let you be angry at me, and we will process it together, and it will not hurt my feelings because I know this is what you got to do. Right. And that gets even more complicated when you talk about deployments, and that being a big transition. It's been the toughest transition I've ever dealt with in my life. It was difficult when you and I were married in my first deployment and with no kids, and but when we had kids, you want to talk about crushed? I was crushed when I had to leave him in that parking lot, and he was crying, not knowing fully what was happening or understanding, because he couldn't at that point. He was too young. He was too young to really understand exactly what was happening. All he knows is dad's gone and he's leaving for a really long time, and I don't like it. And it crushed me. And the only thing you have to hold on in those moments is, for relying on God. Nobody else is going to be able to fix that. You got to go. You got to deploy. You got to go do this thing. You got to get it done. You got to knock it out. This is happening whether you like it or not. We're at a point now where there's no return. The only thing you have to rely on that moment is God. And I remember vividly, praying and seeking God out in those moments. And that's really what helped me get through that transition. But talk about it from the family's perspective on the other side.
Yeah. Deployment transition is a whole new beast. It is unique because it's a family member who's being removed from our everyday life, but they're going to come back. But, life might not be the same when they get back, right? It's a whole nother beast. It's very difficult. But on the family perspective, preparing for that deployment leave is making sure that we take advantage of block leave.
Yeah.
You can go on a trip. You can just have like day dates, going to the park, playing wrestle on the floor, throwing the ball outside, or make a trip of it, and go. And the thing is to create the memories, things that we can talk about when dad is away, things we can remember, feelings we can remember that we had while we were with dad before he left. All of those, building those positive things that we can rely on when it's heavy and it's hard and it's sad and we're angry, that this had to happen. We want to end on a positive note so that we can recall those positive times. The daddy doll was essential for both kids. And we did a deployment wall for your second deployment, but my son's first deployment, we did deployment wall, but that's kind of age appropriate, or, if you have the supplies, but it worked great for him at that age. He was 2.5. We did that. We talk about what to expect the day of. I know our kids had a lot of anxiety of like, when's the last hug? Or like, when is this final, that kind of thing. So talking them through what that day is going to look like, and how their emotions through that day are absolutely okay, whatever they feel, to go through that day. And then, when they are gone and you get on that bus and you are gone, obviously super heavy, kind of numb feeling, but you have to just continue living life normally, just without that parent, right? You still are going to go through your routines. You're still going to go to your appointments. You're still going to do the things that you were doing. It might look different and sound different without the other parent, but you have to make life as normal as possible. So sending pictures throughout the day, we want to make it positive. Send pictures, send videos, try to update. You may not get to talk to them every day. Technology is amazing, but it doesn't always mean that it's going to happen for sure. So, you have to be prepared to talk to your kids about that too. If we don't get to talk to dad today, that's okay. Daddy's busy and he's helping people, right? We always found the positive. He's helping people. He's doing his job. Like, God made him for this. God's protecting him. And, I would say, if you really miss him, let's just pray. Let's pray. God put it on dad's heart that we are here. We love him, all of those things. If we really missed him. But my big thing with the video calls and all of that, this is something that I have a pet peeve about, is we tried to make the calls positive. Right? I did not want to call and be like, your child is doing this, or they're not listening to me, da 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 da. They're already so far away from family. They feel terrible that they're not there to help and to tag out if needed. So, calling them to do that, it's, in my opinion, in our family, it was not going to be helpful. Plus, I have to be strong and confident in my parenting of the kids while he is away, to make sure that they learn to listen to me, to trust me, to, follow those directions, right? And follow through with the consequences if they need them, because I need them to respect me. It can't be one parent is the disciplinarian and the other one is, whatever. We have to make sure that, they learn to respect me and they listen to me. And if I threaten and say, I'm going to call your dad, well, he's thousands of miles away.
Yeah. What's dad going to do?
What's dad going to do, right? I need them to respect me in that moment. And so that is a huge pet peeve of mine, because while life is hard, taking care of the kids by myself is very hard. I mean, I'm talking to a spouse who's doing an even harder job of, protecting the country, but by himself, with no family, with no one but the battle buddies by his side. So it's, a sense of when he's had a rough day or a long day or whatever, and he calls, like, he wants to hear the positivity from home as well. So I guess in tying that to transition, it's a way of how the family is run
Yeah.
and how you transition from going from two parents to one parent. It's like, you know, making sure that the one parent that is with the kids is strong and confident enough to lead and guide them in, being good kids as best as
Yeah. And I
possible.
think the spout, like, for me as a military member, I've got to reassure her that she's got this, and give her the validation she needs that she's going to be okay. And she's got, I support her 100%. And a lot of that comes through prayer. I do verbalize that to her, and we talk about that. But uh, prayer is such a valuable thing. It's a powerful thing. And if you pray enough earnestly and with a reverent heart, you'll be amazed at how God answers your prayers and helps. But going back to the positive communication thing, that's huge because, sometimes in deployment, you don't know when the next phone call is coming. There were times where there were blackouts on comms for certain reasons. When things happen and you don't know what's happening, what's going on. It's been a day, been 2 days, haven't heard from you. Hope everything's okay. But, you want those moments you do have with your kids to be positive moments. My last rotation, I just got done with a meeting with the brigade commander, and I got absolutely crushed, torn apart in that meeting. But in a loving way. It was, Mike, I expect better from you. You can give me better, so give it to me. Roger that, sir. So I was already kind of a little down or whatever, and I could have carried that into the conversation and let that affect the conversation I have with my kids and my wife, but I didn't. It was positive. We had a great conversation. The kids are positive. Everything was cool. And then, after the conversation, I'm good to go. I don't even remember that anymore. I don't care about that. I'm driving on, moving on. But you don't want your kids to see, dad having a rough day or whatnot. It's okay for, me and Steph to talk about it later on and say, yeah, I got tore up today. That sucked, but it'll be okay. We'll get through it. But you don't want your kids to see that because they don't want to feel bad that, dad's having a rough day or whatever. So that's hugely important. The, the, the next big thing though is the homecoming, right? Because that's the next big transition that happens. Dad's got to come back home now. And what's that look like? Because that's a whole different type of transition than a PCS or initial deployment. It's the homecoming.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Preparing for that, I obviously cannot tell the kids until I know it is 100% certain the time and day, or at least the day that he's coming, because we know things can change mid-trip,
They will.
as they did
They
last time. So when he does come home, of course, everybody's excited. Full day of dad. Dad's not ready to make all those decisions. So what has worked in our family is to continue our day-to-day life, but we just, excuse me, we just add dad into it. So what's worked for us is letting the kids lead that.
Yeah.
Right? So letting the kids say, or sorry, me leading the kids, like, show dad how we brush our teeth and get dressed in the morning. Show dad how we, prepare supper and sit down and eat. Let's show dad how we, get ready for school, or how we do our homework, or things like that. Letting the kids lead us or lead him into those daily routines, because here's the truth. He's been gone for however many months, a year, whatever it is. So routines and habits and chores and things like that, they could have changed. They probably have changed.
Yeah.
And so it's a good way for the kids to have that positivity for them to be proud of what they did while dad was gone, and to lead them through those routines and the things that they do, and show him kind of what our day-to-day life is like.
Yeah.
And then dad can get a sense of, okay, this is how they do it now, or this is the routine that they follow, or okay, bedtime's not 8 o'clock, it's 9 o'clock, or whatever the case may be. And in that, not jumping to 50-50 parenting, so to speak, right? I still have to be the disciplinarian. I still have to be the one, that kind of guides them and gives them direction, because like I said, bedtimes have changed. Dad comes in, 7:45, why do you not have your teeth brushed and your pajamas on? Well, Dad, our bedtime's not 8 anymore, it's 9, right? We're already causing conflict.
Yeah.
But if I am still the disciplinarian and I lead into that, then Dad can understand the new routines, the new way of life, the new way rules are, chores are, things like that, before he can then develop his own way of parenting in the what's the word I'm looking for, in the period of life that we're in.
Yeah. So it's come home, be quiet, listen to the commander in chief, take all directions from the tower, and you'll be good to go. No, it's seriously, it's almost like taking a new job somewhere in the military. What do you do the first 30 days? You don't say anything. You don't do anything. You sit back, you observe, you look, you listen, you learn, you see how things are done, how things are, happening. You don't come in and immediately make changes and try and take over and take charge. I haven't seen very many organizations that succeed that way. You want to come in and exercise some humility. But it's also a way for the military member to show love to their spouse and their families, recognize you've had to sacrifice for these 9 months I've been gone. So I will reintegrate back into the way you do life. And that is my responsibility as a military member, is to reintegrate back into the way you guys do things. And, exercising that humility allows your kids to show you how they do all these things. Yes, I know how you're going to get ready for bed. I understand the process of that, right? But letting them show you that is a bonding moment, is a way for them to reestablish that connection back with you, that relationship back with you. And so it's important that you let them do that. And it's not so bad too. I don't have to sit back. I get to be quiet and I just get to watch and observe, and
Finally don't have to make all the decisions.
I don't have to make all the decisions. Exactly. So
No, it is good. And, the kids are always going to ask you all the questions. What'd you do? Who'd you see?
yeah,
Where'd you go?
yeah,
All of the things, obviously answering those age appropriately. But it just adds to that excitement of transition. It's like Dad just basically lived this whole other life.
yeah,
We want to know everything. We've been sending pictures, and you've sent pictures too, but we want to hear the stories and all the things our little 5-minute conversations a day
yeah,
couldn't withhold. And going back to that, it's like those pictures, those are conversation starters when the kids are kind of stuck. Like,
yeah,
I only get 5 minutes. How am I supposed to tell Dad, everything I did today, how the toothpaste fell off my toothbrush, and like, how am I supposed to, tell him all these things? But there's conversation starters within those pictures that either we send from home or he sends us. And, that can start, hey, where did you get the picture of that mountain? What country were you in? Or something like that. So it's a good way to kind of transition the two lifestyles together.
yeah.
Right. Let's talk about what it looks like for you now and what it looks like for us. And so I think communication obviously is huge
Yeah.
for those transition periods.
Yeah. So as we wrap up the episode, I think it's vitally important to understand the benefits of transitions and goodbyes in the military, especially for your kids. It's an opportunity for them to grow. It's an opportunity for them to get uncomfortable, which is a good thing. You need to be preaching that to your kids. Being uncomfortable is okay. That's where growth happens. How do we do that? We do that together. We rely on God. We rely on the Word. We pray. We understand what God is telling us. And we trust in Him, and we have faith in His plan that whatever it is, it's going to be good and we're going to be okay. It teaches them to be resilient and to really develop those social skills that they're going to need later on in life. I'm trying to teach my kids to spread the word, the gospel, like I've been commanded to, like everyone's commanded to in the word. And those social skills are vital for that. And they develop those social skills in doing the transitions because they get opportunities to get uncomfortable over and over again. Bryson's about to do a mission trip here in the next, week or so. And, he's going to have yet another opportunity to exercise his social skills and get a little uncomfortable. And that'll be good. And he'll have a lot of practice. So he'll naturally fit into that, I think. But you always look at it from a positive perspective. yes, there's always a negative connotation with it, but if that's all you hang on to, that's all you're going to get out of it, right? If you understand the positive aspects of it and rely on God 100%, you'll be fine. And, there's nothing to be afraid of, nothing to be scared about, you know, and I think all that comes from the peace and comfort in knowing that God's got my back. And,
He's already prepared the way.
He's already prepared the way.
I do want to answer one question that my friends and people I meet, and maybe sometimes family members, ask me all the time is, how do you make friends, or how do you get comfortable in that transition when you PCS? Like when you move, like how do you make friends? How do you make it home so fast, but then also knowing that you're probably leaving again? And I will say I've been blessed by God to have a little bit of an extrovert personality, so that helps a little bit.
Yeah.
But I will say the biggest thing in how we make friends and the kids make friends is to get out and do things that we enjoy, whether that be the activities that we kind of researched as a family of the new place, or just activities that the local community have or the school that they're going to be going to. But go and do those things. It might be uncomfortable. You're not going to know anyone. You're going to have no one to talk to. But through natural conversation, it'll happen. Because I always like to say, if I choose an activity and I go and I enjoy doing this activity, and there are other people there who also enjoy that activity, we already share something in common. And same for the kids, right? Get them involved in sports or things with their school. We had a kindergarten meet and greet. I knew that I was just going to stand there like a bump on a log because I didn't know anyone. And we have only been here like a week.
Yeah.
And I took my daughter and I ended up meeting some other parents of kids who were going to be in her class. And from then it was like birthday parties. I mean, it just jumped because we got out and we actually went and we did the activity. So I think doing that, getting out, meeting people, church family, we immediately start visiting churches as soon as we move.
That's the big one is, whenever you do transition and move, getting right back into the church. That's where you're going to get a lot of your support and you're really going to get plugged in. And it's vital as a Christian military member, in my opinion. You got to get plugged right back into a church. You got to find it. Take your time, visit all the churches, pray about it. God will lead you in the right direction, but get back into the church.
Yeah, it's a big thing for us. I mean, it takes us, depending on how many churches are in the area. I mean, this time, I think it took us 6 weeks.
Yeah.
About before, we finally got settled into a church family, a church home. But those people are going to be huge. Like we said, Bryson's going to go on a missions trip. He has that church family. And so, yeah, just getting involved and encouraging the friendships that are made. You may know that they're not going to last long, but to your kids, that's a new friend that they just made in their new home. Exchanging phone numbers if you have to, but just encouraging that. And the ones that are true, the ones God had placed, they will continue and they will stay strong and steady. So it's just a lot of kind of putting yourself out there, understanding for me, it's like I can make anywhere feel like home because, I know God has already paved that way for me and he already has plans for me. But just surrounding myself with like-minded people.
Yeah, it's building a network for life too, because every place we've gone to, we know someone. We're still friends with people from every location I've been to or that we've been to as a family, been stationed. So you have all these friends, you have all these connections now that you've made, places to go stay, and when you want to travel across country if you need to. There's so many benefits from putting yourself out there, but it's also the military member too. Dude, you gotta make friends too. You gotta connect. The people in your unit get together, hang out. Find those like-minded people that you can hang out with, and they can be friends with your kids, and likewise. So,
and if you have good enough friends, Bryson actually just had one of his friends from Texas fly down as a family, and spent time with him here in his new home.
Yeah.
And that was so huge because we preach to him all the time, like, hey, buddy, or, to our daughter, if we're able, we would love for you to keep this friendship and we would love to see these people again and hang out again. we can't always promise that, but I always say, like, if it's possible. And then it was just so huge for one of his close friends to, and their whole family to fly down here and take special time. They spent a whole day, just letting them kind of get together again and rekindle that friendship.
Yeah.
And it was awesome. It was great. So there's things like that, those friends, like you say, they're everywhere. Like, we've made friends everywhere, and keeping those relationships strong. You never know. They say it's a small, big army. So we could always be reconnected again. You just never know.
Yep. So appreciate you guys watching. Hope this helped you out. Tune in next week for the next episode, and we'll see you then.
Bye.